Apparently, finding your husband's soulmate was actually my new hire. Yeah, that's right. Not on Tinder, not at some shady bar, but right there, in my own damn office, under my nose, planning my 17th wedding anniversary party. My name is Finley Walker, and my life in the upscale manicured bubble of Mount Pleasant, just outside Charleston, South Carolina, was, by all appearances, a Pinterest board of perfection. Until it wasn't. It all started on a Monday, May 12th. A day that felt like any other until it became the day my world decided to do a full-on, unannounced implosion. Holden, my husband of 17 years, was the quintessential Charleston golden boy. A real estate developer, a pillar of the community, the kind of guy who'd shake hands at church on Sunday and then probably close a multi-million-dollar deal before lunch. He had that southern charm down cold, a smile that could sell swampland to a snowbird, and a knack for making everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. Except, apparently, me. Or, at least, not exclusively me. I found out the way most people do these days. A digital slip-up. Not a text, not an email, but a forgotten Facebook Messenger window open on his laptop. He'd left it on the kitchen counter, probably rushing out for his morning golf game at the country club. I was just grabbing my coffee, thinking about my first meeting at Finley & Co., my digital marketing agency, when a notification popped up, a name I didn't recognize, Tatum Spencer, and a message that read, "Can't wait for our work trip to Savannah next month, babe. My husband thinks I'm networking, but I'm really just counting down the minutes until I'm with you. Babe, my husband, networking." The words hit me like a rogue golf cart to the face. Savannah. My stomach dropped faster than a lead balloon in the Cooper River. I didn't explode. No screaming, no throwing his artisanal coffee mug against the backsplash. That's not my style. My style is more surgical. More like a perfectly executed marketing campaign designed to dismantle a competitor, one strategically placed ad at a time. I stared at the screen, a slow, cold burn starting in my gut. Tatum Spencer. I memorized the name, the profile picture. A bright, ambitious-looking blonde, probably mid-20s, with a smile that screamed, "I'm going places." Oh, honey, you have no idea where you're going. For 2 weeks, I walked around my perfectly curated 4-bedroom, 3-bath house in the preserve, acting like everything was peachy keen. I kissed Holden goodbye, made small talk about Chloe's upcoming soccer tournament and Liam's latest video game obsession, all while a Category 5 hurricane of vengeance brewed inside me. I was a master of the poker face, a skill honed over years of navigating PTA meetings and HOA complaints. My mind, usually buzzing with SEO strategies and content calendars, was now a war room. How do you take down a man who thinks he's untouchable and the ambitious little intern who thinks she's found her golden ticket? You don't just expose them. You make them dance to your tune, then you cut the music. The idea hit me during a particularly grueling client pitch. We needed a new senior branding consultant. Someone fresh, someone with vibrant energy and innovative ideas. Someone who, ideally, was already sleeping with my husband. I posted the job opening on LinkedIn, making sure the description was irresistible. Opportunity to shape the future of a leading Charleston-based digital marketing agency. Competitive salary, unparalleled growth potential, and a dynamic, supportive team. I even added a little flourish, seeking a visionary ready to make a significant impact. Tatum Spencer, with her "I'm going places" smile, was going to make a significant impact, all right. Just not the one she expected. A week later, her resume landed in my inbox. It was impressive, I'll give her that. Sharp, well-written, with a portfolio that showed genuine talent. She was exactly what Finley & Co. were needed, and precisely what I needed for my personal brand of poetic justice. I scheduled the interview. She walked into my office, radiating confidence, completely oblivious. She saw Finley Walker, CEO of a thriving agency. She didn't see Finley Walker, the woman whose husband she was currently entangled with. The irony was so thick, you could cut it with a butter knife and serve it on a cracker at a low-country boil. I put her through the paces, just like any other candidate. Asked about her long-term goals, her biggest professional challenges, her thoughts on brand storytelling. She was articulate, charming, and just a little bit too eager to please. I watched her, a calm, almost serene feeling washing over me. This wasn't about anger anymore. This was about control. This was about turning a messy, humiliating situation into my own personal, darkly comedic reality show. And Tatum? She was about to become the unwitting co-star. "So, Tatum," I said, leaning back in my chair, a faint smile playing on my lips. "Your resume is excellent, and your interview was impressive. We'd love to offer you the senior branding consultant position." Her eyes lit up like a Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. "Oh my God, Ms. Walker, thank you. Thank you so much. This is a dream come true," she gushed. "A dream indeed. More like a waking nightmare, carefully crafted by yours truly." She accepted on the spot. We talked about start dates, benefits, the whole 9 yards. As she left, practically floating on air, I couldn't help but chuckle. The game had officially begun, and I, Finley Walker, was holding all the cards. The first question that should have popped into her head, if she had any sense, was, why is this woman's husband so familiar? But she didn't. She was too busy vibrating positive, as the self-help gurus would say, completely unaware that she was about to step into a meticulously constructed trap. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about orchestrating a symphony of truth, with Holden and Tatum as the unwitting, off-key soloists. And the grand finale? Oh, it was going to be epic. Tatum started a week later, buzzing with the kind of fresh-faced enthusiasm that usually makes me want to chug a triple espresso just to keep up. She was bright, quick, and, bless her heart, utterly clueless. I watched her from my office, a glass wall separating us, a metaphorical barrier thicker than the Great Wall of China. She'd settled into her new cubicle, right in the heart of the open-plan office, a prime spot for observation. My observation, specifically. The first major assignment I dropped on her desk was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive genius. "Tatum, I need you to spearhead a very special project for me personally. My husband, Holden, and I are celebrating our 17th wedding anniversary next month, and I want to throw him a surprise party. Something intimate, yet unforgettable. You're so creative. I just know you'll nail it." Her smile faltered for a microsecond, a tiny crack in her confident facade, before she quickly recovered. "Oh, absolutely, Ms. Walker. That sounds wonderful. What kind of theme are you thinking?" I leaned back, a picture of serene domesticity. "Oh, something classic, you know? 17 years of unwavering love. Something that really captures our journey. Maybe a slideshow of our happiest moments, and a cake that screams forever." I watched her jot down notes, her pen hovering over unwavering love. The irony was so potent, I almost choked on my sparkling water. She was literally planning a celebration of the marriage she was actively dismantling. It was like asking a fox to guard the henhouse, then asking it to bake a celebratory cake for the chickens it was about to eat. Talk about a hot mess. Over the next few weeks, Tatum became my personal wedding planner. She had to research venues. Somewhere with a view of the harbor, Tatum. Holden loves the water. She had to sample cakes. Make sure it's something Holden would adore. He has such a sweet tooth. She even had to pore over old photo albums I casually left on my desk, selecting pictures for the happiest moments slideshow. "Oh, look at this one," I'd sigh, pointing to a photo of Holden and me on our honeymoon in St. Lucia. He was so romantic back then. Still is, really. Tatum would offer a strained smile, her eyes darting between the photo and me, a flicker of something unreadable in their depths. Was it guilt? Confusion? Or just the dawning realization that her married man wasn't quite as unhappily married as he'd led her to believe? Either way, it was delicious. The microaggressions became my daily bread. One afternoon, a massive bouquet of long-stemmed red roses arrived at the office. "Finley," the card read in Holden's familiar scrawl, "my eternal love, always and forever, H." I called Tatum into my office. "Tatum, darling, could you put these in my favorite crystal vase? Holden is just such a romantic, isn't he?" always sending flowers for no reason at all, just because. I watched her hands tremble slightly as she arranged the vibrant blooms, her gaze lingering on the card. She had to read it. There was no way she didn't. The air in the room was thick with unspoken tension, a silent scream only I could hear. Then came the phone calls. Holden, bless his oblivious heart, would call me at the office, his voice oozing with affection. "Hey, babe. Just checking in. Everything good? Miss you already." I'd make sure to put him on speaker, just loud enough for Tatum, whose desk was practically within earshot, to catch his end of the conversation. "Oh, Holden, you're so sweet," I'd coo, playing the doting wife. Just counting down the hours until our date night tonight. Tatum would be forced to transfer other calls to me, hearing his endearments, his casual mentions of our family life, our kids, our weekend plans. It was a masterclass in gaslighting, but I wasn't gaslighting her. I was simply presenting the reality he'd so carefully hidden. One day, I brought in photos of our recent family vacation to the Outer Banks. "Oh, Tatum, could you help me organize these for the slideshow? Liam and Chloe had such a blast. Holden was such a good sport, even tried surfing with Liam." I pointed to a picture of Holden, beaming, with our son. Tatum's face was a study in controlled panic. This was the man who told her his marriage was a dead end, a mere formality, a place to sleep. Yet here he was, in full dad mode, looking genuinely happy with his family. The cognitive dissonance must have been a real train wreck in her brain. My loyal senior account manager, Spencer Hayes, a sharp woman who'd been with me for years, started to notice. She'd give me knowing glances, a subtle raise of an eyebrow when Tatum would flinch at a casual mention of Holden and I. Spencer was too professional to say anything, but her eyes held a silent question. "What game are you playing, Finley?" I'd just offer a small, enigmatic smile. Spencer knew I was a force of nature when crossed. She just didn't know the full extent of the storm I was brewing. The tension in the office, at least for Tatum, was palpable. Every "good morning, Tatum" from me was a subtle jab. Every request for an update on our anniversary party was a twist of the knife. She was trapped, forced to celebrate the very thing she was trying to destroy. She was the architect of her own public humiliation, and she didn't even know it yet. The biggest hurdle came when she presented the final party details. "Ms. Walker, I've finalized the guest list. All your closest friends and family. The menu is set, the band is booked, and the slideshow is ready. I even found a local baker who can recreate your original wedding cake design." She looked so proud, so professional. My heart, which had been a block of ice for weeks, felt a tiny, almost imperceptible thaw of, well, not pity, but a morbid appreciation for her unwitting dedication. "Excellent, Tatum," I said. A genuine smile this time. "You've outdone yourself. This is going to be truly unforgettable." And that, my dear Tatum, was a promise. This party was going to be the grandest, most spectacular dumpster fire of her young life. And the best part? She was holding the matches. The anniversary party was looming, a beacon of impending chaos on my calendar. Tatum was running around like a headless chicken, finalizing details, oblivious to the fact that she was meticulously setting the stage for her own professional and personal demise. But my plan wasn't just about Tatum. Oh no, that would be too simple too. Small-town drama. Holden, my charming, duplicitous husband, needed a far more comprehensive reckoning. He was the root cause, after all, and roots need to be pulled out completely, not just trimmed. My initial thought was just to expose the affair, let the chips fall where they may. But as I watched Tatum organize photos of our family, saw her flinch at Holden's affectionate calls, a new, more insidious layer of my plan began to form. Holden wasn't just a cheat. He was a master manipulator, a man who believed his charm could smooth over any rough patch. And men like that often have more than just one secret tucked away in their perfectly tailored suits. I'm a digital marketing CEO. My business thrives on data, on uncovering hidden patterns, on understanding the intricate web of information. I decided to apply those same skills to my personal life. While Tatum was busy choosing floral arrangements, I was quietly digging. I started with the obvious. Holden's phone records, his credit card statements, which I had access to, naturally, and his company's public filings. Nothing overtly scandalous jumped out at first, just the usual business expenses and a few suspicious charges for client entertainment in Savannah, which of course lined up perfectly with Tatum's work trips. But then I remembered a casual conversation I'd overheard at a country club mixer a few months prior. One of Holden's business associates, a notoriously gossipy old money type named Bartholomew Barty Hayes, had made a cryptic comment about Holden's creative financing on the new Oakhaven Estates development. Oakhaven was a massive, high-profile project, a gated community being built on what was once protected wetlands, a controversial topic in Charleston. Holden had championed it, promising economic growth and luxury living. My spidey senses, honed by years of sniffing out shady online reviews and dubious ad campaigns, started tingling. Creative financing in real estate often meant cutting corners, or worse. I decided to dive deeper. I started cross-referencing public records, zoning permits, environmental impact reports, investor documents, all available if you knew where to look and what to connect. I used my agency's advanced data analytics tools, usually reserved for client market research, to sift through mountains of public information. It was like a digital treasure hunt, only the treasure was dirt on my husband. What I found wasn't just dirt, it was a whole toxic landfill. Holden, in his infinite wisdom and greed, had been using shell corporations and inflated appraisals to secure loans for Oakhaven Estates. He'd also allegedly bribed a few local council members to push through zoning changes that allowed him to build on environmentally sensitive land, promising them kickbacks disguised as consulting fees. The kicker? He was using investor money, not just his own, and a significant portion of those investors were prominent, wealthy Charleston families, the very people who would be attending our anniversary party. He was playing a dangerous game of Jenga with their money, and the tower was about to come crashing down. This discovery changed everything. This wasn't just about a cheating husband and his side chick anymore. This was about fraud, corruption, and a man who was about to lose everything, not just his marriage. My revenge evolved from a personal humiliation to a full-blown public dismantling. Tatum was just the appetizer. Holden was the main course. I spent the next few weeks meticulously gathering evidence: digital paper trails, recorded phone calls, legal in SC if one party consents, which I did, anonymous tips to local investigative journalists, who were already sniffing around Oakhaven, apparently. I even managed to get my hands on a few internal documents through a disgruntled former employee who was more than happy to spill the tea on Holden's shady dealings. My agency, Finley & Co., was suddenly a covert operations center. Spencer, my trusted senior account manager, noticed my late nights and the intensity in my eyes. "Everything okay, Finley?" she'd ask, a hint of concern in her voice. "Just a particularly challenging new client, Spencer," I'd reply, a wry smile on my face. One that requires a very specific kind of brand management. The humor in this part came from the sheer audacity of it all. Here I was, a woman scorned, turning into a corporate espionage expert, all while my husband's mistress was meticulously planning the party where his downfall would be broadcast. It was like a darkly comedic spy thriller, starring me, a suburban mom with a penchant for sarcasm and a killer instinct for data. Holden had always underestimated me, seen me as the supportive wife who ran her little agency. He never realized that little agency had the resources and the strategic mind to unravel his entire empire. The climax of my preparation involved setting up a discreet meeting with a sharp-as-a-tack investigative reporter from the Charleston Post and Courier, a woman named Brenda Sterling. I presented her with a carefully curated dossier of evidence, enough to launch a full-scale investigation. "This is just the tip of the iceberg, Brenda," I told her, "but I promise you, the rest will be revealed very, very soon. You might want to have a reporter at the Mitchell Walker anniversary party this Saturday. It promises to be quite the exclusive." Brenda's eyes widened, a predatory glint in them. She knew a big story when she saw one. The stage was set. The invitations were out, the caterers booked, the band ready to play. Tatum had even designed a beautiful custom backdrop for photos, emblazoned with Holden and Finley, 17 years of love. Oh, the irony was so thick I could almost taste it. I felt a surge of exhilaration, a calm, focused energy. This wasn't just revenge, it was a reckoning. And Holden, with his smug smile and his carefully constructed facade, was about to learn that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous, and that a woman who runs a digital marketing agency knows a thing or two about going viral. The night of Saturday, August 9th, arrived, shimmering under the Charleston moonlight. Our backyard, usually reserved for casual BBQs and kids' birthday parties, had been transformed into a lavish event space. Fairy lights twinkled. A jazz band played softly, and the air was thick with the scent of jasmine and the expensive perfume of our well-heeled guests. Tatum, in a sleek black dress, moved with practiced grace, overseeing every detail, a picture of professional competence. She looked stunning, completely unaware that she was about to become a sacrificial lamb on the altar of my marital revenge. I, Finley Walker, stood by the entrance, greeting guests, a serene smile plastered on my face. Inside, my stomach was doing more flips than a Cirque du Soleil acrobat. Spencer, my senior account manager, caught my eye from across the room, a subtle nod confirming that everything was in place. She still didn't know the full extent of my plan, but she trusted me implicitly. And I, in turn, trusted her to execute a few critical, last-minute technical adjustments. The moment arrived. The double doors to the house swung open, and Holden strode in, looking every inch the charming, successful man everyone believed him to be. He scanned the room, a pleased smile on his face, soaking in the adoration. Then his eyes landed on Tatum. It was a slow-motion car crash. His smile faltered. His eyes, usually so confident, widened in a mixture of shock and dawning horror. Tatum, who had been directing a waiter, turned, her gaze meeting his. Her face, which moments before had been a mask of professional calm, drained of all color. The jazz music, which had seemed so soothing, suddenly felt like a mocking soundtrack to their silent, excruciating realization. The air crackled with unspoken tension, a palpable hum that only a few of us could truly feel. I took a deep breath, a small, triumphant smile playing on my lips. It was showtime. I walked purposefully to the small stage Tatum had so carefully arranged for the speeches and slideshow. I picked up the microphone, tapping it gently. The subtle feedback cut through the low hum of conversation. "Good evening, everyone," I began, my voice clear and steady, amplified for all to hear. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate what we thought was 17 years of unwavering love." A ripple of polite applause. Holden, still frozen by the door, finally managed to move, his eyes locked on me, a desperate plea in them. Tatum looked like she wanted the earth to swallow her whole. "This evening," I continued, my gaze sweeping across the room, landing briefly on Holden, then on Tatum, "is indeed special. It's an anniversary, yes, but it's also a night of truth." The murmur in the room grew louder. My assistant, a bright young intern named Chloe, no relation to my daughter, discreetly handed me a sleek white envelope. "Holden," I said, extending the envelope towards him. "Our vows were broken. And these," I pulled out the neatly folded divorce papers, "are the official documents to prove it. Consider this your surprise anniversary gift." A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Faces contorted in shock, whispers erupted like a sudden summer storm. Holden, his face now a ghastly shade of white, stumbled forward, reaching for the papers as if they were a lifeline. Then I turned to Tatum. Her eyes were wide, glistening with unshed tears, her carefully constructed composure crumbling. "And Tatum," I said, my voice dropping slightly but still perfectly audible, "your contract of employment with Finley & Coair is also hereby terminated, effective immediately. I believe you have some things to rethink about vibrating positive in another city. Perhaps one where my husband isn't a prominent resident." The room exploded. The whispers turned into outright exclamations. People pointed, gasped, and stared. Tatum, her face crimson with shame, looked around wildly, like a trapped animal. She opened her mouth, perhaps to protest, to deny, But no words came out. She just turned and fled, pushing through the stunned guests, her exit a blur of black dress and utter humiliation. But I wasn't done. Oh no, not by a long shot. Now, before we all get too caught up in the drama, I said, a dry, almost theatrical chuckle escaping my lips, there's another little truth I'd like to share. You see, Holden here isn't just a man of questionable marital ethics. He's also a man of, shall we say, creative accounting. With a subtle nod to Spencer, the large flat-screen TVs Tatum had set up for the Happiest Moments slideshow suddenly flickered to life. Instead of photos of Holden and me, a meticulously prepared presentation appeared. It was a concise, damning summary of Holden's financial misdealings, shell corporations, inflated appraisals, the alleged bribes to council members for the Oakhaven Estates project. I had even included quotes from the anonymous tips and snippets of the recorded calls. The final slide showed a projected financial loss for the investors, many of whom were standing right there in my backyard, sipping champagne. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark contrast to the earlier uproar. This wasn't just gossip. This was financial ruin. The faces of the prominent Charleston investors, who moments ago were gossiping about the affair, now turned to Holden with a terrifying blend of anger and betrayal. His pillar of the community facade didn't just crack, it shattered into a million pieces. Holden, who had finally reached the stage, looked at the screen, then at me, then at the furious faces of his investors. He tried to speak, to bluster, to deny. "Finley, what is this? This is insane! Lies!" But his voice was weak, his usual charm utterly gone. "Oh, it's not lies, Holden," I said, my voice dripping with sweet, cold satisfaction. "It's called due diligence, and the Charleston Post and Courier will be publishing the full, unedited story tomorrow morning. I believe Brenda Sterling is already on her way here to get your official comment." Just then, a flashbulb popped from the edge of the crowd. A reporter, indeed. Holden's eyes darted around, trapped. He was cornered, exposed, and utterly destroyed. The collective gasp from the crowd turned into a furious buzz as investors started confronting him, their polite society masks completely gone. I stepped back from the microphone, a profound sense of calm washing over me. The jazz band, sensing the shift in atmosphere, had mercifully stopped playing. Justice wasn't just poetic. It was a meticulously planned, multi-channel marketing campaign, executed with devastating precision. My husband's affair was just the trailer. His financial downfall was the blockbuster. And I, Finley Walker, had just directed the most epic, satisfying revenge movie of my life. The aftermath of the anniversary of truth was, predictably, a Category 5 hurricane. Holden Mitchell, the golden boy of Charleston real estate, became a pariah overnight. The Charleston Post and Courier ran Brenda Sterling's expose the next morning, a front-page splash that made the affair look like a mere footnote to his financial malfeasance. The SEC and local authorities launched investigations. His investors, the very people who had been at our party, were now lining up to sue. His empire, built on a foundation of lies and inflated appraisals, crumbled faster than a stale biscuit. He lost everything: his reputation, his business, his carefully cultivated social standing, and, of course, his marriage. Tatum Spencer, bless her ambitious little heart, was nowhere to be found. She'd fled Charleston that very night, probably realizing that her dream job and golden ticket had just turned into a one-way ticket to career oblivion in a town that thrives on gossip. I heard through the grapevine that she tried to spin it as a hostile work environment on LinkedIn, but no one was buying it. Her vibrating positive mantra probably got her a job selling essential oils in a new city, far, far away from the Lowcountry. Good riddance. As for me, Finley Walker, the scorned wife, emerged not just intact, but stronger, sharper, and infinitely more powerful. The divorce was messy, as expected, but with the mountain of evidence I'd amassed, Holden had no leg to stand on. I secured a favorable settlement, ensuring that Chloe and Liam's future was financially secure and that my agency, Finley & Co., remained mine, free and clear. He tried to fight for custody, but his public disgrace and the revelations of his character made him a non-starter. The kids, surprisingly, took it better than I expected. Teenagers are surprisingly resilient, and honestly, they'd probably sensed the underlying tension for years. Chloe, with her sarcastic wit, even commented, "Well, Mom, at least now Thanksgiving won't be so awkward." Liam just shrugged and asked if he could get a new gaming console. Life, apparently, goes on, even when your dad is a disgraced fraudster. My agency, Finley & Coburn, didn't just survive, it thrived. The notoriety, ironically, brought in new clients. People admired my strategic mind, my tenacity, and my ability to, shall we say, manage a crisis. We even landed a major contract with a local nonprofit dedicated to environmental protection, which felt like a nice, karmic slap in Holden's face given his Oakhaven debacle. Life in Mount Pleasant slowly recalibrated. The initial shockwaves subsided, replaced by a quiet respect from some and a healthy dose of fear from others. I wasn't just Finley, Holden's wife, anymore. I was Finley Walker, the woman who took down a titan, all while maintaining her composure and her killer sense of humor. I learned that true strength isn't about avoiding pain, but about transforming it into power. It's about taking the lemons life throws at you, not just making lemonade, but building a whole damn lemonade stand empire. I still live in the same house, though it feels different now. Lighter, freer. The ghosts of Holden's lies have been exorcised, replaced by the laughter of my kids and the hum of my own ambition. I've even started dating again casually. Nothing serious, just enjoying the freedom of being myself without having to dim my light for someone else's ego. Looking back, it's almost comical. The whole thing played out like a twisted reality show, a suburban drama with a splash of corporate espionage. And I, the unassuming wife, turned out to be the showrunner, the lead actress, and the ultimate victor. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say it's a dish best served with a side of public humiliation, a dash of financial ruin, and a perfectly crafted press release. My final reflection? Never underestimate a woman who runs her own business, especially one who's had 17 years to perfect her poker face. Because sometimes, the quiet ones aren't just observing, they're strategizing. And when they finally decide to play their hand, it's usually a royal flush.